Hi there, my name is Alay Yajnik and I'm a FocalPoint business coach. And today we're going to be talking about the three common mistakes that people and organizations make while they're doing strategic planning. Before we get into those three common mistakes, though, why don't we actually talk about the tool that we're going to be discussing today? So the SWOT analysis tool is one of the most common strategic planning tools that exists, and it's one of the most effective. And all focal point business coaches are trained to use the SWOT analysis tool. It basically looks at four different aspects of a business. And what's so interesting about it is, in spite of the fact that it's simple, oftentimes it's not used correctly. And so before we go any further, let's just talk about the SWOT analysis briefly. And I want to give you a few things so that you can make sure that it's being used to the best way that it possibly can be. So bear with me here. Let me just exit out of this. Okay, so hopefully you should be able to see my iPad on your screen here. So the SWOT analysis tool is pretty straightforward, right? It's a typical quadrant-based tool. But what's interesting is on one of the axes, we have internal. So on this side, it's going to be internal versus external. And then we have positives versus negatives. So the issues and components that are internal, you're going to have your strengths, positive, and on the negative side, weaknesses. And then you're going to have your opportunities and your threats. So the way this works is strengths and weaknesses are internal to the organization, and opportunities and threats are external to the organization. And that's how we go about starting to map it. So typically when you're doing it, you'll figure out 1 to 3 strengths. You'll typically find 1 to 3 opportunities. And when we're doing weaknesses and threats, because you can actually come up with a lot of these very quickly, best practice is really to do less than 5 weaknesses and less than 5 threats. And what you typically want to do is leverage your strengths, seize your opportunities, and then for weaknesses and threats, it's kind of the same thing in each. You can minimize them, mitigate them, or ignore them. You don't have to do something about the weaknesses, and sometimes, especially with threats which are external, you end up not being able to do things. So just quick examples. Strength might be something that your organization does really well. An opportunity is an opportunity external business environment that you can seize to grow the business. A weakness would be a shortcoming internal of the organization. And a threat would be something that's coming from the outside that may or may not be in your control, but that was definitely going to impact the business. So macroeconomic conditions are an example of a threat, or perhaps the movement of a competitor might be an example of a threat. So that's a real quick primer on the SWOT analysis, and we go through that in detail when we actually do our coaching sessions with our clients. Let's pop back here into the slideshow and get into the rest of this. So now that we've covered what the SWOT analysis is, and let's talk about 3 keys that you can take to avoid some of the common traps that happen when people are using the SWOT analysis. It turns out that's a pretty easy tool to misuse or to not use to its maximum capability. So we're going to give you 3 quick keys that you can put to use right away that'll make the SWOT analysis be more impactful for you. So the first is you've got to choose the right frame of reference. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're in a department and you're trying to do a SWOT analysis for your department. You've got to be very clear about what is your reference point for your internal and external. So internal to what and external to what. And this is especially true in complex organizations where you're a department or you're a strategic business unit and you're in a larger corporation. It's very important you choose the right frame of reference, because that's really going to color the rest of the analysis. So this issue, I've seen it happen time and time again at large, complex organizations where they're trying to do a SWOT analysis for a smaller, small organization within a larger one. The second issue I run into, and this is true across all businesses and business units, is not capturing your true strengths. I cannot tell you the number of times people will cite their level of service or their dedication to the customer as a true strength of theirs, when in fact, it really isn't. So when you're thinking about true strengths, think about those few things. And typically it's no more than three, and it might just be one. But what are those few things that set you apart, not just from all your competition, but from your best competitors? Think about those competitors that go toe-to-toe with you, or the competitors that you lose to fairly often. And what are your true strengths versus theirs? Okay, so it's really important you get crystal clear and you don't fool yourself. We want to get really tangible, true strengths. And again, keep them at three or less, and it's totally fine if you have one. And finally, the last thing that people do when they do this analysis is they don't dig deep enough to uncover opportunities. Oftentimes, this part of the analysis gets the short shrift because they take the opportunities that are most obvious, the lowest hanging fruit, the things that they're already thinking about already. It's important to take the time to dig deep and uncover opportunities that might not be apparent. That's why you're all in this room having a strategic planning session. It's to really make sure you uncover those right opportunities, and that's going to make the biggest difference in putting together a really strong, effective, and groundbreaking strategic plan, and it just being a continuation of what you've done before. So again, just a quick recap. The three common strategic planning mistakes when using a SWOT tool is not picking the right frame of reference, not identifying the true strengths, and not digging deep enough to uncover those hidden gems, those hidden opportunities that can really propel your business forward. This is something that I love doing with my clients, and FocalPoint coaches in general love doing with theirs. And if you'd like to get any more information on it, we'd love to get you what you need. So you can call me or email me. If you like this video, just go ahead and click the like button and share it with some friends. So thanks so much. My name is Alay Yajnik, and I'm a FocalPoint business coach.